video and all other videos on this channel are for entertainment purposes only. The content of this video and all other videos on this channel are the opinions of the creator only and do not constitute legal, trading, investment, or financial advice of any kind. Investing carries a high level of risk and the majority of retail clients lose money. Do not invest any capital unless you understand the risks and you are prepared to lose it all.
Do you want to, we always get a Bitcoin comment from you before we let you go. Normally it got stuck under 100. That's a pretty, it's a psychological level, I would imagine.
Yeah, I think some of this could be, there's a lot of folks who don't want Bitcoin over 100,000, and some of it may be the exchanges themselves are concerned because there is a pretty low supply of Bitcoin available over the counter. So you have a supply shortage, and if Bitcoin makes a move above 100,000, I think there'd be a big chase. So I'm still confident Bitcoin's going to close much higher before year end.
Before year end?
Before year end, yeah.
So break $100,000 before the end of the year?
Yeah, well above 100,000 before year end. It's just a matter of time.
It's December 2nd.
All right, hello and welcome to Camel Finance. I'm your boy Camel, and I reckon not only are we going to hit 100K by the end of this year, but I think we're probably going to hit it by the end of this week, or perhaps at the latest early next week. And the reason I say that is we are dangerously close to finding a half cycle low. So I'm going to show you that as always. We're going to continue to track these cycles in real time. Before we do, I wanted to point at a couple of things because the memes are currently writing themselves. We have definitely seen an influx of newer investors into the space. Many of them apparently seem to think that XRP was created before Bitcoin. So you can see hubris runs higher than ever. You can also see the IQ level in the current newer investors. You can see the inexperience taking forms of comments like 250 is nothing for a crypto, right? And market cap is a false metric for potential price appreciation. So IQ has left the chat completely, okay? Let's be honest. Experience has also left the chat, and we are now at that crazy part of the cycle where everyone's an expert. Logic, rhyme and reason, experience, all of that means absolutely nothing. And honestly, it's not just me that is saying things like this. I sincerely miss the YouTube from a year ago. I also saw one from Tyler that said he thinks he likes crypto bear markets more than bull markets, even though we make a lot more money in the bull markets. In the bear markets, the people that stick around tend to be more intelligent. They tend to actually care about the space. They tend to want to put in the work, and they don't view this space as a cheat code for getting rich very, very quickly. So as somebody that has been making videos every single day for over 1,000 videos now, we have certainly reached a very strange place in the market, a very strange time. This is not my first rodeo. It is not my first euphoric type moment. I've seen this in many different asset classes, in many different assets, many times over. And unfortunately, it's the same every single time. So there's good news and bad news here. Okay, the good news is if you take this seriously, if you're able to remain an objective observer, not get too absorbed by this kind of thing, then we can just kind of sit back and realize this kind of phase where people flood the markets and everyone's an expert and everyone's a know-it-all and money's really easy to make, okay, this phase in the market doesn't tend to last very long. And for anyone that's been following the channel for any length of time, you know that I have been very, very bullish up until the last few months where I've slowly but surely been flipping to more and more bearish, more and more contrarian. I was extremely contrarian at the lows, and that turned out to be the correct call. I was then insanely bullish the whole way up, and now I am becoming more and more contrarian once more. A lot of people don't seem to like that, but frankly, right on schedule, we are now seeing this kind of euphoria, greed, and everyone's an expert turn up, okay? So this was predicted. This was predicted years ago, and now we're finally here, okay? And if you're one of these people that's going to sit here and say things like, why aren't you bullish, or you're not bullish enough, or why are you trying to be contrarian, well, just know that this has been the plan all along, okay? All we're doing is sticking to a plan and continuing to execute on that plan, and right on schedule, okay? Not just me, but many other YouTubers out there are slowly but surely losing their minds with the sudden influx of experts into the space. So again, as an objective observer, all we can do is really point at this stuff and say, it makes sense that it's showing up now. I expect it to get a little bit worse before finally all of those people get destroyed. Remember, your average trader or investor has a life expectancy, or a career expectancy, I should say, of 3 years if they're lucky. And if you're showing up now, then most probably you have a career expectancy of less than 2 years. So for those of us that are able to remain objective and observe these things, this kind of stuff is incredibly useful to observe. And of course, this is going to continue up until the point when it doesn't, right? And when it doesn't, things tend to come tumbling down very, very fast. So I continue to sit here and say, what a wild time to be alive. I continue to sit here and tell you things are going to go up for a little while longer. But once more, I continue to understand that right on schedule, this stuff has shown up just like clockwork, just like it was expected to. And thus, all of these newer investors okay, are soon to be flushed from the space. They never learn, they're never going to learn, and worst of all, once they're wrecked, they leave permanently, drawing the conclusion that this entire space was a scam. Now, speaking of scams, it's been a while since we've seen anything like this, okay? But right in time for the half cycle low, we saw Bitcoin drop something like 25 or 30% on the Korean exchanges, okay? And this was in response to Korea saying that it was going to implement a martial law system. I believe that just hours later, this was voted against by the government or the parliament system, whatever they've got over there. And thus we saw this huge liquidation. So it's been a long time since I've seen anything like this. And again, I'm very proud of the Camel Crew because they saw this from a mile off and said, look, right in time for that half cycle low, makes perfect sense. Under the hood, whales continue to accumulate record amounts. So have a look at that, pretty insane. We also saw a whole heap of longs get liquidated right into that half cycle low time frame. We run the stops from the downside and then we run the stops to the upside. And once again, I pull up this same chart from Gert, updated once more. A lot of people called Gert crazy for suggesting we might see something like this. However, we're probably about halfway there, okay? One final enormous squeeze to the upside, that fear-driven fifth, and then we should be looking for the hyperwave angles to violate. If you know, you know. We should be looking for Camel's 3 angles to violate. Again, if you know, you know, and we will be taking some profit here, walking away, and it is in this area, of course, that the majority of those new investors that have just shown up will finally find out exactly what this space is really about. And of course, okay, there's nothing to worry about, right? We're early in the melt up. We're early in the cycle. We're early in this bull market. Well, it's a good thing, as Sven points out here, that it's different this time around, because otherwise we'd be starting to worry, right? This is the S&P 500 showing massive bearish divergence, okay? Same here, same here, same here, same here. Now, again, lucky it's different this time around, right? Lucky this time around we're in the early stages of a bull market. Lucky that we're not overdue for a 4-year cycle low, okay? And again, all of this occurring against the backdrop of a whole heap of people pouring into this space. So our days are numbered. I continue to make that as the case. We also have this fantastic bear market and recession indicator from Timothy Peterson here, which is signaling, okay, that a recession is right around the corner. Once more, you're not going to find this on most YouTube channels at the moment because everyone wants to tell you that you're about to be a billionaire from your altcoins and all of that stuff. But if you really think about it, okay, nothing has changed. Blow off top, 3 angles. This is eventually going to violate to the downside. And when it does, Camel here is going to be calling tops. I think whilst this top takes a month or two to work itself out, that will give Bitcoin its space to put in that huge blow off top moment. But for now, we remain long and strong, okay? If I pull up the stock market, again, we are still pushing our 2 trades that we reopened after going flat before the yen carry trade unwind. Nasdaq is starting to come alive and push its way up to target, which is good. Happy days there. And the Dow Jones, okay, thinking about putting a swing high in and confirming it to the downsides. I am also in that neighborhood where I expect to see the Russell 2K have one final push. And then I think I might even be tempted to set another angle in here somewhere in the not too distant future and use that as my exit signal. And with gold, we are still hunting that weekly cycle low, which of course we'll be conquering in the members section. The dollar is getting dangerously close to giving us a daily cycle low, and then we're going to find out, right? Then we're going to find out how much risk there is in this market, because if this thing prints a daily cycle low and bounces into a right translated cycle like we expect, then that's it, right? That's it. We're going full bore deflation. We're going to see the stock market melt down, and it's all going to be very obvious in hindsight. Yellow squiggle remains undefeated for the bond market. Once more, I have nothing to say other than tell that to the bond market. And for Bitcoin, I think we're right in that timing window now to start to see the half cycle low show up, and then out of that, it should be time to explode through 100k. So, wholly speaking, sticking to the plan. Please do watch out for the sentiment out there. It's going to get a lot more extreme than it is. And in my experience in markets, it doesn't take very long to build from here, okay? So trade safe, be an objective observer, keep your eyes open, and respect the charts, okay? Breakdowns from these levels are absolutely to be respected. I'm your boy Camel. I hope you're doing well. Until next time, cheers. Bye.
Camel Finance, he's the man to see. Rocking the markets with his contrarian spree. Trades like a pro, no fear, no shame. Sticking to his guns in